Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coaching and Consultant Strategy and Growth Show. Now, if you listen to this interview anywhere else but within our private Facebook community called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle, then definitely come check us out. We'd definitely love to have you. And that community was put together specifically for coaches, consultants, and service providers who are serious about getting up to that 6 and that 7-figure level. So that's you. Definitely come check us out. Now, today, I'm pretty excited to be introducing you to another one of the members of our community, Gayle Gunn. Welcome, Gayle.
Hello, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. You're welcome. Great having you. So, Gayle, tell the rest of the community, what is it that you do?
What is it that I do? I am a space utilization specialist. I help people transform their space in order to change their life.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Love it. So tell us, what is your backstory then? How did you, before you got into doing this type of work, what did you do before?
My background covers quite a few different industries, primarily retail. I come from, different retail backgrounds, and also have a background in banking and let's see, what's the other? Oh, restaurant. Anything of service, really.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And how this transition, was this a pretty easy transition to get into what you're doing now? Was there how did that transition happen for you?
It was an easy transition, but the business building part of it's been a little bit difficult. But I had been working in retail. I was ready for whatever was next and started looking at my strengths and my weaknesses, what I was good at, what I enjoyed doing, and what my background had taught me, and decided to put that forward into creating the business that I now have of doing the space transformation, which is a combination of organizing, interior design, a little bit of feng shui, a little bit of things like that to help people change their space. Mm-hmm. But everything that I've done led up to that. So it was a smooth transition in that regard because I could finally put it all together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And why that specific area? What's fascinates and interests you about it?
It's kind of one of those things where I've known for probably the better part of 20, maybe even 25 years that space utilization was something that I was really good at, and that I could see space in a way that some people weren't able to, whether it was a sense of spatial acuity or just really being able to tap into what's happening in a space. Some would consider it kind of a natural talent or a gift that I had. And it was something that I always loved doing. Like, people watch me now and they'll see me like scanning a room and looking, and my brain's already working at like what we can do differently. It's not about right or wrong. It's just about things that people hadn't thought of. And I've loved it. Like I said, for probably the last 20, 25 years, but it wasn't until just a few years ago that I was like, I need to do something with this. I need to figure out what this is and pursue it in some way. So that's what I did.
Yeah, good stuff. So, and what does working with you look like?
So working with me, so I have been working on my process a lot more this year, but I have created a discovery call, which is a chance for me to jump on a call with somebody, get a sense for what's happening in their space, what they'd like to have happening in their space, what might be stopping them from having what they want. And that's all the discovery call process. And then we create a customized package to move them forward with what that space transformation would look like. And all clients get a strategy session, an implementation session, and a follow-up, and then the rest be customized based on what they're looking to do. Mm-hmm. And it can be virtual or in person. I do love in person because I love what I do. I do also like the virtual aspect of it because it allows me to work with more people in more areas.
Okay, awesome. And what type of, how does it work? Does someone just have, how does it work? Where's someone typically at when they come to a realization that they might need your services?
That's a great question. In most cases, it's someone who recognizes that something about their space doesn't work, or something about the way that they function in their space doesn't work, and they want to change it, but they either feel overwhelmed with where to start, they don't know where to start, or they're just not sure that they have the skill set or the know-how to make it happen. And in talking with them, I can help them bring forward their vision and what they want to do, and help them strategize on how to make it happen.
Can you give us a few examples? Do you have any client case studies you could share?
I do. Gosh, let's see. One of the most common people that I work with in person is people who are looking to organize their garage. It's one of the spaces that's relatively underutilized. And I can help them come in and organize it. I can see patterns and ways of organizing things that they might not have thought of, and being able to start them forward. So I just worked with somebody a few weeks ago, and they had moved into their house not too long, and things just kind of got put wherever there was space to put them. And I went in and worked for a day with someone else, and we categorized everything. We got it to a way in which they could now see everything they have, and then start the process of paring down what they have, and really being able to see it. And their reaction was, they were amazed. They were like, I don't know how you did this in a day. Like, I can see everything. I know what everything is. Everything, is just identified and categorized in a way that they didn't think was possible. So they were super excited about that.
So good stuff. Yeah, and I guess the garage is one of those places where it's like most people get a garage for the cars and stuff, and next thing you know, it's get filled up to where the cars can't even fit in there, right?
Yeah. The garage is one of the biggest places, but when people don't have a garage, or whether it's the attic or the basement or some other room, everyone, including myself, probably has a space that I consider the space of indecision.
Mhm.
They just kind of put something there until later. Often it's the garage. It's like when we don't know what to do with something, we put it somewhere until later. And so I help people get to that. That later is now. So we do something about it.
Yeah. So how does it work? Do you actually do the shifting around reorganization actually for the person if you were to work with them in person, or is that something you just kind of guide them how to do it?
Yeah, so for the in-person people, I'm able to obviously do it for them or with them. It's always easier if they're part of the process, but if they're not, I can still create some semblance of order based on common themes, to give them a place to start. And if it's someone who's working with me virtually, then that's more of the holding the hand guidance and being able to talk through with them what's happening. And that's a big part for most people. It's not actually about the physical aspect. It's about the subconscious emotional attachment that we have to things. And sometimes just talking through that allows them to let go of it. And so that's what I do with people who work in a remote or a virtual setting is, we can still do major space transformation. It's a great platform because they're held accountable and responsible for doing the work, because I can't do it for them, but still able to talk through it with them and move them forward. I've had a lot of successful, working with people in that way, have a lot of success.
Yeah. Okay. Good. What about advice, right? So if someone, let's say, someone is considering maybe rearranging their space, or just not even sure where to get started, where to begin, how do you typically guide that person?
With that, it's basically just talking to them about their space. Let's talk about your space. How does it make you feel? How do you want it to make you feel? And people people think that that's a weird way to think of their space, because a lot of times they don't tune into that or tap into it. Like they just, when something is cluttered or disorganized, it's a physical manifestation of something that's happening internally. And that's when they know that there's something going on, because they can physically see it. It's like, let's talk about your space. Is what you're doing working for you? And if they say yes, say great, there's no need to change it. And if they say no, like my space doesn't work and I don't know why, then we talk about what's going on and help move them forward in that way. So it's, when people listen to me or hear me, the first thing they do is they go, huh, I didn't realize my space doesn't make me feel very good. And then they reach out and they say, you got me thinking, let's talk.
Yeah, and that's such an interesting thing as well, too, right? That's why I really believe in the concept of education-based marketing,
Yeah.
because most of the times, most individuals who need our services, they have no idea. They haven't really thought about it,
Yeah.
to make that connection. But once they do, it's almost like the light bulb just went off. It's like, oh, now I could see why I need this person, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think on my website, I mentioned, what do you do when you don't know what to do? You contact a professional. Just like if you were going to renovate your house, you would call a contractor. Unless you wanted to learn how to do it, you would reach out to somebody who can do what you don't know how to do. And so when it comes to space transformation, people usually think of one of two people. It's either a home or office organizer or an interior designer and or decorator. And that's my background allows me to bring people the essence of both of those and talk to them about function, form, and practical use. So they get two in one.
Yeah, and that's so
Yeah.
important as well, too. Just like
Yeah.
you look what's happening today with COVID-19, where everyone is now working from home, and now
Yep.
now you're required to almost like be on camera, right? So
Yeah.
it's always good to have someone who could like help, because I realize that's another issue as well too. Since so many people are working from home, they have no idea how to set up the background, their
Yeah.
in their room to where it looks pretty good on camera, right?
Yeah, so they have to, I mean, unless they want to do a digital background, which I have no problem with those, but you could also have, set your space up in a way that allows you to just use the space that you're in and not necessarily hide behind camera, behind the digital background. But it is true that with what we've had going on recently is that, we've spent probably more time at home, either working from home or just in our home than we have probably ever before. And so, now it's an important time to make sure that your space allows you to function, feel good, and to, go out and conquer the day and do what you got to do.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big part of it.
Okay, good. Oh, you don't like the digital background as much as I do.
I have no problem with it. I'm just curious if somebody's using a digital background for marketing purposes, I totally get that. If they're using it to hide whatever's happening behind them, that's when I don't want people to feel like they have to hide in plain sight. They can, let's do something and create a space that you want to show off and be proud of.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a cool, exciting part about it because again, it's one of the things where, as you said, it's like, how do you want it to make you feel, right? Because
Yeah.
when you really, before you pay attention, you're just like, oh, there's stuff everywhere. But then when you realize, man, like a place really makes you feel like you can really design it to make it make you feel the way you want to feel, right? It's just like
Yeah, that
a journey.
it ties in that way. And a lot of people, like I said, they don't think about that. And in my experience, there's two things. The two most important things in our life are health and how our space makes us feel, because it's where we spend, a good amount of our time. So it's important that it's a place that we can not need to take a vacation from, not need to escape from.
I never thought
Yeah.
about it that way. Yeah, it's like literally the space you're in. It's like that's where you spend most of your time. That's interesting. You got a
Yeah.
lot of good
Yep.
insights there, Gail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome, awesome, good stuff. Okay,
Thank you.
yeah. So I guess the next question becomes, so what are a few pieces of advice you can give, let's say, anyone who just wants to get started on this path right now? What are a few tips?
A few tips. So I do believe everyone is capable of doing it. When it comes to organizing, there are two things. There are people who are born with the A-type personality who are just kind of naturally organized. But in the industry of organizing, it's all about transference of skills. And so I let people know the good news is you can learn to become more organized. It's just figuring out what your natural sense of order is and knowing that you can do it, that you just have to get started. And if starting is what's stopping you, then, talk to somebody who can help move you forward. That just to know that you can do it, just got to start.
Yeah, got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If
Mhm.
something in your space isn't working for you, then not to ignore it, to figure out what about it isn't working and create something that does work, whatever, that's where working together would help them, is figure out what that is. And it's unique to everyone. So there are a lot of similarities, but each of us is our own person. And that's one of the things that I work with people on, is what's important to them and moving them forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Now, what about vision? What's that vision that you're building towards at the moment?
A division that I'm moving towards
Yeah,
for my business or for me.
yeah,
Um, Well, I'm excited. This is the first year. One of the things that this year has brought to me that sets us apart is that I say we, me, myself, and I, and occasionally some people that I work with, is that we don't work by the hour anymore. We offer our clients a way to work together by the project, so we're able to price out an entire project to move people forward. And I'm excited about that new direction and that new, added value that we bring, and being able to create a custom package to move people forward, and to keep growing. I'm excited this year. I've done a lot more social media presentations, and just getting out there and sharing what I know and what I have, and giving what I can to people so that they can move forward. Like I said, I believe everyone can do it. It's just getting started. And so, I'm looking forward to continuing and putting out content and material and connecting with people and just helping them make that click, like whatever it takes to get them going is what I'm working on and excited about.
yeah. Cool stuff. Now, what about yourself, right? In terms of skills wise, what's a couple of skills you'd say you've really practiced over the years that's really helped you get to where you are and create your level of success today?
You know, it's funny that you asked me that question because I was thinking about my background and like, you know, when somebody puts together a resume or fills out their profile on LinkedIn, you know, they're talking about the jobs that they've had and what they've learned at those jobs. And the reason I mention that is because when I think about the jobs that I've had and the companies that I've worked for, like I worked for a company where I pretty much learned how to fold clothes. That was my job as a sales associate, was how to perfectly fold jeans and t-shirts. And so that could be where I learned how to, you know, how to fold clothes and organize closets. I worked for another retailer where I was responsible for the linens, and I had to perfectly fold every single towel and, you know, turn the room into a showcase. And so, you know, each of my jobs has taught me something that is more about what I do now than probably what they hired me for, or what the actual job description was. So, you know, sales associate, connecting with customers and things like that. But what I was actually learning was the skills and how to be super organized and how to make things look perfect for anyone.
Yeah,
So,
that is so cool, right? Because at the end of the day, some of the stuff we take for granted,
yeah,
stuff we have advice, things we just master and learn and practice so much of our lifetime, we get to be here today and thinking like, oh, that's just nothing. But there's so many other individuals who, number one, they don't have that skill, and number two, they would definitely love to be able
yeah.
to learn from someone else, right?
Yeah, yeah, and so that's, you know, one of the things that I appreciate, that is no matter how long or short one of my careers or jobs was, that everything that I've done led me to create what I'm creating now. And whether, like I said, whether it was how to perfectly fold a t-shirt, how to fold a towel, how to, you know, display or merchandise a shelf, like everything that I've learned is what I was able to bring together in what I do now. And you know, even some of the jobs that I had that had training courses, the training courses that were specific to what I was doing at the time still apply now. And so I don't take any of those times or trainings or anything for granted. I appreciate all of them because it's how I, you know, my personal journey is a big part of it, but the other part of it is the background that I have that makes it possible.
Yeah, good stuff. And let's say someone wanted to connect, someone wanted to really reach out and connect with you just to learn more about what you do and possibly maybe how you can help them get more organized and stuff like that. What's the best way for them to be able to reach out and connect?
The best way is there is a contact form through my website. My website is currently under my first and last name, GayleGunn.com. And there is more information about my business and about the ways in which I can help people there. But they can also, you know, reach out, you know, by phone or even by email. If they wish, we can make that information available to them. But the website's probably the easiest because it gets them what they need right at their fingertips.
Mhm. Awesome. And guys, if you're watching this interview on the live or the replay, all the links Gayle mentioned to the websites, email, all these different things, they will be either above or below this video. So you can click and get connected right to her. Gayle, hey, thank you so much for making the time to be here and sharing what it is that you do with the community. Do you have any final thoughts before we end?
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me and for, you know, for today's interview and allowing me to introduce what I do and to share more. And I, you know, I'm excited to be a part of your community and learning more about how to serve and be of service. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too.